Today's Tuesday, it's the 6th of August 2024. I'm on my own because the girls have gone shopping, but I'm down in Newcastle again, and I did a video down here just a couple of days ago, but some places I didn't manage to show you, and well, this is one of them. I did refer to it in the video. I used to refer to it as the sunken roundabout, and that's what it is. Let's have a look. So I'm actually in the middle of a roundabout. There's cars whizzing around all around me, and that's London Road down there, and the main town of Newcastle is up there. So that's where I was when I was looking at the second-hand shops, and the market would be up there. I'm going to go through one of the tunnels. Used to be fountains when they first built this roundabout. They put fountains down here. It was really pretty. Unfortunately, vandals got in and ruined it a little bit, so they decided to make it into a park or a little garden. It's actually changed a lot since I've been here, and I'm noticing palm trees in the middle there, which is quite amazing. But now it's quite pleasant. It's very well kept, and in keeping with all of the flowers, we've got some beautiful hanging baskets, so these would be really pleased with those, and the flowers seem to be well kept. So I'm going to go out through this particular exit. So all the exits from here are through these underground walkways, which in the past have gathered a lot of graffiti. As you can see, we've actually got some nice pictures down here and some interesting artwork, so much better. On one side that takes us to London Road, and this one to Barracks Road. Got a few steps to go up, I'm afraid. I must say I am managing steps a lot better than I used to, so up we go. It's sunny so far today by the forecast. Not so sunny, it's about 15 degrees, so it's pretty cool. As we come out here, that's the well, used to be the main shopping street for Newcastle. This has changed a lot. This is Barracks Road, and a lot of it was demolished down there. This is Norman's Photographers. I think I've actually got a photograph at our house that we took there. We had a family portrait done many years ago. I'm actually going to walk down this road, which is not really part of the town, but it's a road I used to walk along many times, and this actually used to live not too far from here. This is a sort of a typical Newcastle, Stoke-on-Trent inner city road with lots of terraced houses, all built pretty much at the beginning of the 20th century or the end of the 19th century. I'm just noticing the year up there is 1897. One of these actually used to be a shop that we called in, and they used to sell bootleg albums. I remember buying a bootleg album from there. Very interesting. And I'm guessing it'd be very valuable now. I'm not sure what I did with it. I think I probably sold it for next to nothing. It's actually a Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon album recorded at one of their concerts. There's some schools up there, including what used to be Newcastle High School. And it must be bin day today because all the bins are out. It's a big bit of a controversy really in different parts of the UK of how often the bins are actually emptied. So the general waste here, so Angela tells us, in a particular area is emptied once a week. In some areas further south it's apparently once every 2 weeks, which is pretty awful. So we're very lucky where we live in Mallorca. Our general waste bin is emptied every day, 365 days a year. coming down here because it's well, somewhere different, and place I've used to come, and this changes so much. Look at all this boarding up here. What's going on? There's more construction. But, building I've come to get on video is one I think I probably never actually managed to get on video before. I can't remember. It's actually the one across the road, which is a fairly new looking big building. I'm just going to take a photograph while we're waiting. It's actually the Newcastle Masonic Temple, and I've never actually been there, so it's somewhere one day I hope to visit. Well, it was really nice chatting to someone who's a member at the lodge, actually doing some work on the lodge, and well, one day I'll make it. Anyway, we're going to carry on a bit further down here. I'm having difficulty recognising, because these buildings didn't exist when I used to live here, so that's all new. That I recognise up there. The building on the left used to be a dance school, and as a 16-year-old lad leaving school, it's actually where we used to come to sign on to the social security as we left school before we got a job. This is where we had to come. School uniform shop up there. All the schools pretty much around here have school uniforms. And we're just skirting the outside of Newcastle, but I'm actually going to walk up here just for my own nostalgia, and little else really. These are just sort of typical sort of back streets, but all the new flats here on the right are just somewhere that's totally new. Across the road is Veterans House, Veterans Food Bank, so looking after ex-service people. It's a new Christian spiritualist church. So I don't remember any of that. I'm heading up now. I'm walking towards Harpfields and Hartsill, and as a very young lad I went to school in Harpfields. And Anita and I only lived and grew up about a mile away from each other, just over a mile maybe. And we met at a place called the Victoria Theatre, which is well, a bit too far for me to walk to this morning. I'm meeting them for coffee in half an hour, so I really can't be too long. But the shop here on the right, which is actually a convenience store now, Select and Save, used to be a model aeroplane shop, and as a child it used to fascinate me. I'm pretty sure it's where I had my first model aeroplane, which was a Hawker Hurricane with a glow plug engine, which I used to fly and crash regularly. Crash more than anything there. The reason I wanted to come up here really was to have a look to see what's happened to this building and land on the left hand side. Well, actually it doesn't look to be much of a building anymore. Nice church there, the steeple. It used to be our insurance company used to be down there, Jones and Blunt. Many years ago they used to insure our cars for what now would be a minuscule amount of money. So all of this used to be a big building across the road. I think I better cross over so we can see it a bit better. And now it's all gone. Nothing. This is a car park. It may have been, or could have been a car park. But just beyond it. Well, looks like it might just be a hole in the ground. I think it quite literally is a hole in the ground. It used to be a big, big disco club that Anita and I actually went to many times, and I went to as well before that. It used to be called the Crystal, it used to be called Tiffany's. It had various names, and I have got pictures of it when it was standing. But no more. It's all gone. And there's a big fence around it. A fence like that in Mallorca could be covered in graffiti by now. But across the road is the Rigger. It used to be called the Bandstand at one time. It's now called the Rigger. And I only really ever knew it as the Rigger. And it's a pub that I used to go to regularly as a very young teenager. How they managed to serve us, I don't know, but that's where we used to go. And up there's another pub called the Museum. Anita and I used to go in there. And then this one, this building front, is called, well, I don't know what it is now, but you can still see the sign, J. Titley and Sons. It used to be a fruit and vegetable wholesale shop. And down there, some police sort of buildings, I think. This little shopping area is relatively new. And just down here, just to the left, is where Anita had her wedding dress from. Unbelievable, isn't it? In those days, the shop, I'm pretty sure, doesn't exist now. It was one of these down here. And the building at the top there, it says to let now, used to be a restaurant, and it's I think the first and only place I've eaten frog's legs. Just wondering if I can cross over this road without getting mowed down. Building down on the left hand side, I think I did mention to you, the one with all the scaffolding is now student, or was going to be student accommodation, but was never completed. That's where the swimming baths used to be, and it was well within walking distance from where I lived. So I used to live just up the road from here. Just on the right is the Borough Arms Hotel, and we very occasionally have been there, not many times, but we did actually plan to spend our wedding night there. But as we drew up in the taxi, the receptionist came out and profusely apologised to say that they were overbooked. Could we go to another hotel? And they offered to pay for us to go there and to pay for us for a room for the night, which was actually in a better hotel, so it wasn't where we wanted to be, but well, that's how things were, I suppose. That's the Baleares Hotel, and right in front of us is where Newcastle railway station used to be. It was sunken down below. It's all been filled in now, and it's now a walkway. My memory as a young lad coming down to Newcastle railway station was to pick up a delivery. My mother used to have Freeman's catalogues, and we had to come down here because she'd ordered a tape recorder from Freeman's, reel-to-reel tape recorder, and I was so excited about that because I've got a microphone, I could record my voice, record all sorts of different things. I don't know whatever happened to those tapes or the tape recorder, but they're not with us anymore. That's while we're waiting to cross. That's up there, goes up to Basford, and up there we've got the Victoria Theatre, theatre in the round, which formed a big part of Anita and my lives, I suppose. We actually met at the former location of the Victoria Theatre. But we used to go when we lived here, and we have been since. So this is King Street, and we're going to be walking back down into Newcastle now, and I'll meet up with the ladies hopefully. I think this part probably hasn't changed too much over the years. I guess the businesses that are here have changed a little bit, but the actual buildings, pretty much as they are. Even the parking system seems to be the same. And we're just coming up to a church on the left, which is the Congregational Church. And well, I'm not a church person myself particularly, but this church is where we held my mother's funeral just a couple of years ago. So it's now got a spot in my heart. Just crossed over the road to take some photographs of the church. Carry on down, just down here. When I was a boy, I used to go to the doctors, and my local doctor was down there. And the building to the left, even when I was a boy, that was just a very modern building. I don't remember anything before that. I guess I should, but I don't. And my memory of this was walking past and finding people standing outside smoking. I guess some things never change, because every time I've been past in recent years there's been somebody outside smoking. The roundabout, that is relatively modern. Depends on your age, I suppose, but yeah, it wasn't there when I think back to the beginning. It was a road of many junctions, and then they introduced the roundabout, which I'm guessing a junction with so many junctions, it desperately needed it. But in the early 1960s, I suppose, there were not so much in the way of traffic, and so they built this roundabout, which is looking quite smart now. In a similar way to the sunken roundabout, it's got the fountains, but here the fountains are still there because it's not vandalised quite so often. It's not to say it's not vandalised at all, because it is, or has been. People do throw the fairy liquid or whatever it is in there, and the place gets covered in foam. but nothing quite so serious as the sunken roundabout. But this is looking quite pretty. What is a little bit disturbing is that the building over there has been like that for years, and I don't see any progress in the work. Just coming up to Queen Street. So the one we came down was King Street, just this is Queen Street, and this leads up past the Brampton Park, Pitfield House, the museum for Newcastle. Lots of interesting things there, a big park for children to play in, for people to relax on picnics. And now they've got lots of lovely statues and things that are quite interesting. Again, I don't really have time to do that today. And up in the trees here, can't actually see it, but here's another church, big church, and I did at one time actually go through the graveyard here, and I took lots and lots of photographs. This is St George's of Newcastle, and it's made out of this lovely red stone that's very typical of this area. It's like a sandstone. It looks pretty well kept and nicely looked after. I did in the previous Newcastle video mention the church that I'm just coming up to on my right. It's no longer a church, in fact it hasn't been a church for a long time, but it's probably played a big part in Newcastle history, in that this whole area is very much a Methodist area, and Methodists somehow must have been quite wealthy, and they managed to build these grand buildings. And so this is Ebenezer House. So it used to be a church, then it actually became a shop selling washing machines, I think, or electronic goods. There's another Newness of Life Christian Centre over there. Quite surprised how many newish looking church centres there are. We've seen quite a few while we've been here, while some of the older ones have closed down. I did actually walk along Merrill Street in the last video, so I'm not going to go up that way. I'm just going to go down towards the Queen's Gardens, where I started pretty much the last video, and it means going through one of these subways again. These subways, well, they've, as you can see, have always attracted graffiti. They seem to have defeated that in some, but here where you've just got a plain painted wall, well, graffiti artists have been there. That's too kind of word, isn't it? Artist, graffitiist. But there is a move to make them a little bit better, a little bit safer. I think people do feel a little bit unsafe walking along these underground passages, particularly when it comes towards the evening. Like the red and white in here reminds me of Stoke City. Up the Potters. Here we come to a little divergence. We're going this way as we're going to go up to the Queen's Gardens. Maybe give you another little view of that. And here is actually something that's quite nice. I like that. That's really nice. Made by local children. But it needs to be framed better. It needs something around it. This leads us up into Newcastle. cars here. Something obviously has happened. Not exactly a big big street for cars. It's virtually pedestrianised further up. This is the Queen's Gardens, and it's a place I started the last video, but in our younger days, Anita and I used to come in the Easter holidays. I think when we were revising to do our A-levels, we'd come and sit in here and eat our sandwiches, and then make our way back to the library. Actually, the library is now within the Queen's Gardens. Never been in there, but it's called Castle House now, which is interesting because there was a Castle House before, which is a little bit further up the road. So this is actually the civic offices, the equivalent, I suppose, of the town hall, and now encompasses the library, the police station, and the offices that deal with the neighbourhood, the town hall sort of offices. So really pretty much back to square one. But I'm really happy to see that it's so beautiful, so colourful, and we have seen some lovely colours, some lovely flowers while we've been here in England. Well, I'm going to finish this video here, and the girls are supposed to be just up the road. Have a coffee with them, and then it's back to England. Back to England? No, it's back to Mallorca. Thanks very much for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye for now.